Kellyanne Conway is the counselor to the president. She joins me right now on the North Lawn. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Brett.
We just heard Deirdre in New York talking about the economy, the markets today. For a president who touts the markets, when you see a big hit like this, is it a dangerous thing to tout the markets as much as he does about the economy?
The president tonight, though, will recap what has been a tremendous year for our prosperity and our security, Brett. And there's no mistaking that the Dow Jones still over 26,000 points, made many record highs, and owing in large part to the centerpiece of his economic agenda, his tax cut, but also the regulatory framework really getting more in line, not being so burdensome. The energy development that you've seen, I think, striking at the heart of Obamacare, where 30 million Americans still do not have health insurance post-Obamacare, having repealed the individual mandate as part of his tax plan. All of that is leading to untold prosperity, and not just in the wage increases and the bonuses and the capital investments you're seeing from some 275 companies and employers, but also in people's retirement securities, their 401ks, their pensions, their educational investments. And so he will continue to be able to tout an economic record of prosperity that's very important. It's not just about the stock market. It's about all the other elements that are undergirding this economy, the consumer confidence, manufacturing confidence, small business formation confidence numbers, the unemployment numbers that you and John Roberts were talking about in your earlier package.
Yeah, so one of the reasons the market took a hit today was because of health care.
Yes,
and
the president acknowledged that.
Yeah,
and I think where you and I were.
You know, one of the questions is, how do you fix that in a very divided Washington right now?
This president remains committed to finding a better way to provide the millions of Americans who lack affordable, accessible, quality health care. They were lied to. They couldn't keep their plan with their doctor, and we're still cleaning up that mess for many Americans who felt that they were never made whole by a system that has squeezed them out because of the increasing premiums, the insurers fleeing the exchanges, and of course the young and healthy being too smart to be trapped into going into these exchanges. And so we want to make sure that more Americans have that access. The president has talked very positively about, for example, Brett, associated health plans, so that if you're one of those folks who do not get their health coverage like you and I do through our employers, or like others do through the government, then you can pool together so that you're sharing the cost and sharing the risk. Those would be self-employed or small business owners, for example. The president has also talked about competitive rates across state lines. Why can you and I buy our car insurance across state lines right now, but not our health insurance? Also possibly block writing Medicaid to the states so that those closest to the people in need know how to administer that money.
One of the things the president will talk about is the economy, but also reaching across party lines.
Yes.
You had the Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer, today saying this about the president and the economy.
President Trump was handed an already healthy economy by his predecessor. Like many things in his life, he inherited the healthy economy. Here are two words we won't hear President Trump say tonight about the economy. Thanks, Obama. Because much of the growth in 2017 was created by President Obama's policies.
Thoughts on that?
People should maybe swear under oath before they take to the Senate on occasion, and here's why. You don't have a single company out there saying, I now am making billions of dollars of repatriated money or capital investments, like ExxonMobil has said, like Apple Computers has said, because of the Obama economy. They're saying, I'm doing it because of the Trump tax cut. So people are drawing that nexus between the Tax Cut and Jobs Act that just passed a month ago, Brett, and what they're doing now with their employers and the larger community investments. And also, if you look at the Quinnipiac poll, in 2017, 66% of Americans who were surveyed said that the economy is either, quote, excellent or good. That's double the number that it was in the 4 previous years of the last administration. So that's just simply not true. Look, Apple, I believe the principals at Apple were big fans of the last president. I'm sure if they were able to say, we're bringing 20,000 U.S. jobs here, we are repatriating billions of dollars in wealth, we're making capital investments, I'm sure they would love to have said that in the last administration. They simply couldn't do it because we had an anemic 2% or less growth rate, GDP, already exploded under this president, and we had tax increases. We did not have tax cuts. We had a corporate tax rate of 35%. This president, this Republican Congress brought that down to 21%.
Oftentimes, State of the Union addresses are shopping lists. They are lists of things they want to get done, the presidents want to get done. One of the things that's talked about is infrastructure. At the same time, there's a lot of concern up on Capitol Hill about the deficit and debt. Here's a candidate Trump talking about that.
We owe $18 trillion. We're going to $21 trillion and ultimately 24, which is a magic word. You know, 24 trillion, that's the magic number. That's like the point of no return. And we're there very quickly. We're going to end up being another Greece, and maybe we're going to end up being another Detroit, because that's where our country is going. We need proper leadership.
If you look at the national debt clock now, it stands at $20.6 trillion. There are Republicans and Democrats who have found the light, if you will, when it comes to deficit and debt. What do you think about that as you look to this agenda of what to do next?
This president continues to be very concerned about our debt and deficit, right? There's no question. But he's not responsible for the way it's exploded over the last several administrations. At the same time, we can't only look at that and not consider our crumbling roads and bridges. Upwards of 50,000 bridges, I've read in some reports, are in disrepair, and we know that. Also, our air traffic control system, it was designed for a time when we had roughly 100,000 passengers annually. We now have close to 1 billion passengers annually flying through the air traffic control system. So we would think this is a nonpartisan issue crying out for bipartisan support, and we hope that it is. This president is committed to two major principles under his infrastructure plan. One is to invest at least $1 trillion in that infrastructure. And secondly is to bring our permitting process down from 8 to 10 years to about 2. It's done in other countries, like Australia, where they give plenty of time for people to comment. If you want to criticize the project, you can, but you don't have 20 years to do that. You can't keep getting these extensions. And so we really want to shrink the permitting time. It'll cost money, and it'll improve the safety and security of those of us, all of us, who travel.
So last thing, if you're going to paint a broad picture for somebody who's going to tune in tonight, State of the Union sometimes don't draw, you know, the huge crowd, but it is the time when all government comes together.
Yes.
And you're in the same place, and you're talking about an agenda. If you're to paint a picture of this speech, what would it be?
Couple things. One is pay attention to both the tone and the content of this president tonight. I think you will find both of them very inviting, very conciliatory, very unifying, positive, and uplifting. And I certainly hope people across the aisle see that and feel that. Number two, I'm so grateful to God that Steve Scalise will be there in the hall, because when you go back and you look at 2017, I would say one of the darkest days for me, having been here the full year, was the day that Mr. Scalise and others were shot in that baseball field in Virginia. We don't talk enough about that. They were moments away from real tragedy, and I'm so grateful to God that he'll be there with others in that hall. Also, the First Lady's guests are really special. I've had a small hand in witnessing that process, and she has invited such wonderful, powerful stories of the best of America. Some of these stories are tragic, and some of them are patriotic, but they're all part of the American spirit, how we overcome, how we come together in the face of tragedy, and also what we can do as a nation to pull together.
Kellyanne, thanks for the time.
Thank you. Thank you.